And if I am wrong, I invite him to correct me. That when Nabi Isa alayhi salam returns, when the Prophet Jesus returns, the Quran tells us that the Jews and Christians, the Ahlul Kitab, will have to believe in him. And so, according to Harun Yahya, there is an end of history in which Jews and Christians and Muslims will all believe in Nabi Isa alayhi salam, and as a consequence will become a fraternity, a brotherhood, all living together with fraternal feelings for each other. And he continues to argue that if this is what is going to happen at that time, then should we not now reach out to Jews and to Christians to build that fraternity now? Oh yes, that would please the Israeli Mossad alarm. This is false. This is not what Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has told us. And this is not the proper interpretation of the Quran. This is false. This is deceptive. What is going to happen when Nabi Isa alayhi salam returns is that a people who were acting in the same way that Pharaoh acted, waging war on Islam, waging war on those who have faith in Allah. A people who had become oppressors, who were arrogant oppressors, who had power and were using that power to oppress. That people would now suffer the same fate that Pharaoh suffered when he was drowning. The Quran tells us that when Pharaoh was drowning, the veils, of course, were removed from his eyes, and he then recognized that Musa alayhi salam and Banu Israel had the truth. And their God was the true God, and he, Pharaoh, was not God. And so he declared his faith in the God of Banu Israel. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded, and this is in Surah to Yunus, and I invite Harun Yahya to kindly look up the verse. Al-an, now Pharaoh, وَقَدْ عَصَيْتَ قَبْلُ, and before this you were in arrogant rejection. وَكُنْتَ مِنَ الْمُفْسِدِينَ, and you were committing fasad, you were oppressing. فَالْيَوْمَ نُنَجِّيكَ بِبَدَنِكَ, this day we have decided to preserve your physical body. لِتَكُونَ لِمَنْ خَلْفَكَ آيَةً, that your physical body, when it is rediscovered, when it resurfaces in the historical process, would be a sign for a people to come after you. What is that sign? The sign is this, that since they will live the way you lived, they will die the way you died. A divine intervention caused your destruction. A divine intervention will cause their destruction. And you went into the hellfire despite your declaration of faith. And they will also declare their faith, and it will be of no help to them, and they'll also go into the hellfire. The body of Pharaoh was discovered, and the world acknowledges it. Somewhere around 1897, I believe. I can be wrong by a few years. But the Zionist movement was created in the same year that the body of Pharaoh was discovered. And so the sign is very clear. For those Jews and for those Christians who are supporters of the State of Israel, for the Zionist Jews and the Zionist Christians, when Jesus comes back, Nabi Isa alayhi salam, at that time you will have to declare your faith, but it will be of no benefit to you. There is no fraternity between us and you at that time. Harun Yahya, you're wrong, you're misleading the people. Instead of a fraternity, Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam told us what is going to happen at that time. And I invite Harun Yahya to quote this hadith, if he has the courage and the integrity to do so. The Prophet said, the hadith is in Sahih Bukhari, he can check it up. لَتُقَاتِلُنَّ الْيَهُودِ, you'll most certainly fight the Jews. وَلَتَقْتُلُنَّهُمْ, and you'll most certainly defeat them. حَتَّى يَقُولُ الْحَجَرُ, at that time, even the stones will speak. Ya Muslim, O Muslim, هَذَا يَهُودِيٌّ وَرَائِي, there's a Jew hiding behind me. Oh, so they'll be on the run on that day. Is the Prophet speaking about all Jews? Oh, come on. You should have a little bit more intelligence than that. No, he's not speaking about those Jews who are standing with us and opposing Israeli oppression. He's not speaking about those Jews who refuse to be Zionists. No. He's speaking about those Jews who are oppressors. They'll be hiding behind trees and stones. هَذَا يَهُودِيٌّ وَرَائِي فَتَعَالَ فَاقْتُلْ, so come and kill him. These are the words of Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. And it's a little late in the historical process to try to erase those words now. And so what has been written in that book is false. And the world of Islam must be warned to reject this view presented by Harun Yahya, a view with which the Israeli Mossad would be very comfortable. The next question. In my book, Jerusalem in the Quran, I dwelt at length with the hadith of Tamim al-Dari. Tamim al-Dari came to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam in Medina and narrated something about Dajjal. And the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam then said to the people, sit down, I have something to say to you. Tamim al-Dari came to me and narrated something about Dajjal which confirms what I have been saying to you. And then we get the event from the lips of the Prophet ﷺ. In that hadith, Dajjal is located on an island. In that hadith, Dajjal is located on an island. To save time, I'm not going to give you the arguments in support of my conclusion. The island is Britain. So I say that when Dajjal was released on earth, in a day which is like a year, this is the first stage of his mission, I say, and listen carefully, that Dajjal now uses Britain in his first stage to pursue his mission to eventually rule the world from Jerusalem. Listen carefully to my words. When he uses Britain, Britain is transformed into a ruling state in the world. And so the world experienced Pax Britannica, and the sterling pound became the international currency. The world is now very familiar with my view on this subject. I'm the first one, I believe, to have suggested this, and it has been largely accepted. However, let me point out, when Imran gives an opinion, no one should accept that opinion. Let me warn you, no one should accept my opinion unless and until you are convinced that it is correct. When I give an opinion, I can be right, I can be wrong. Only Allah is free from error. All the rest of us have to revise our opinions sometime. And so my opinion is that the island of Tamim ad-Dari is Britain. Now the question has been raised several times. But the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, pointing to the east, 20 times to the east, that Dajjal will come from the east, he will come. And Britain is to the west. So we are confused, could you kindly explain? Well, that's how some people ask me politely. Others don't do that. Others don't do that. The answer is this. East and west, and north and south are directions in space. And they are directions in our world of space and time. Are there other worlds of space and time? Yes, there are. There are 7 of them, samawat. Do we have east and west and north and south in those samawat? I don't know. And you don't know. But when Dajjal comes from the east, the Messenger of Allah is speaking about east in this world of space and time. And so it is only when Dajjal appears in our world of space and time, which would be at the end of his mission. When Dajjal is released, he will live on earth for 40 days. One day like a year, one day like a month, one day like a week. وَسَائِرُ أَيَّامِهِ كَأَيَّامِكُمْ. One day like a year, one day like a month, one day like a week, and all his days like your days, meaning all the rest of his days. So when stage 1 and stage 2 and stage 3 have been completed, number 1, Dajjal has to be released. Number 2, stage 1 and stage 2 and stage 3 have to be completed. And then he is born into this world of Jewish parents who never had any children. And he grows up as a Jew. And he would be a young man, a human being. Yes, he's going to appear as a human being. A young man, powerfully built, with curly hair. It is at that time he declares that I am Al-Masih, the Messiah. It is only after he declares that he is Al-Masih, the Messiah, that we will recognize that this is the Messiah. This is the false Messiah, excuse me. Before that we would not know. So it is at that time that he would come from the east. But prior to that, Stage one, I say the island is Britain.